guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal, just in case you're new here, and today I have my October book haul for you guys. So, I mean, I wouldn't say this is all the books that I've accumulated in October. This is definitely like over the past couple months since the summer, since my last book haul. I've been trying not to buy a lot of books, but I have a really big stack here of like random books that I bought from all different types of genres. I feel like I've been just trying to find my way through my book life lately. I don't know about any of you guys, but my reading tastes have kind of changed ever since COVID happened. I've been kind of steering away from bloody horror and your typical like Stephen King horror and going more towards like Haunting of Hill House type horror, more of like the psychological front of things, or paranormal, spooky ghost stories. I'm digging that. They're fun. But anything like really bloody and gory just hasn't been my thing for quite some time now. I wanted to discuss with you guys first is I am wearing my It's Just a Phase, this is Salem Witch House sweatshirt that I got from a store in Salem to save Halloween. It says Save Halloween 2020. So if you too, I also have the mug, and if you too have been wanting to visit Salem but couldn't visit this year, unfortunately I'm missing out this year and I'm really upset, but I heard that they're doing great. But if you want to support Salem and Halloween this year, I will link down below the gift shop where I got this from and where I got my mug from, so you too could support Halloween in Salem this year. And I just love it. It's super cozy. I got a large. I like my sweatshirts like really big and like bulky. That's just me. I mean, it comes down like halfway to my thighs as well. It's pretty long, but I like that. I like to be cozy. I don't like sweatshirts being too tight. So yeah, I am obsessed. I love the artwork on here, and I forgot the artist's name, and I probably should have looked it up before I started recording, but you can find out all that information out on their website where you can place your order. And now this is by no means a sponsorship or paid promotion or anything like that from the store. I just really love this gift shop, and they have been doing amazing things throughout COVID, and they are just a great store. You can also follow them on social media if you want to see some fun videos during Halloween. But on that note, let's just get into the book haul because I got a lot of books here for you guys. None of this is going to go in any particular order because I just have like way too many books here to like categorize, but I will say I have some adult fantasy, I have middle grade, I have some horror books, I have some literary fiction, I have what I call witchy books. I have those too, and I have some classics as well to share with you that I purchased, and I'm loving getting into classics lately. The first book that I have on my stack is The Books of Blood by Clive Barker. I hate to say this, but I've never read anything from Clive Barker, and now that I'm feeling a little bit more sensitive to horror stories, I don't know if I'm going to pick this up, but this was like an automatic buy for me when I was in Barnes & Noble. I saw it was a mass paperback edition, like nothing too expensive, so I figured I'd just like add it to my collection. They did just make this a Hulu original movie, I think, so I wanted to watch the movie. Thought I'd read the book first, but I don't know, I think I might just watch the movie instead, so we'll see what happens. But I heard great things about Clive Barker's writing, and he is a part of the LGBTQ+ community as well, so it is a diverse author. So if you are looking for a diverse author for your Fright Week TBR, you could definitely read Books of Blood, and it's really not that long, so definitely I'll recommend this to you even though this is a book haul. Next I have here The 10th Girl by Sarah Faring. This has been on my TBR for a really long time, and I just kept avoiding it because I've heard so many mixed things about this book, and I was just always afraid that I was going to hate it. But people that love gothic horror and weird things seem to really like this story, and then people that like more of like happy ending type of stories don't like this book. So I'm going to make the decision for myself. It seems to be very polarizing, and most of the time when I read a book like that, I end up liking it. So I'm pushing this up on my TBR. Hopefully I could read it this month in October, but if not, I'm continuing a spooky TBR for the month of November because I just have way too many spooky books to read. The 10th Girl is a psychological thriller, but it also is like a haunted like house story. It takes place in South America on like this deserted island where there's only like a manor, and I think it's like a school or something. I don't really know much about it, and I will tell you more when I read it. I really don't like to go into my thrillers knowing much, so I'll read you the back of the book in case you didn't hear about this book. It says, at the very southern tip of South America looms an isolated finishing school. Legend has it that the land will curse those who settle there, but for Mavi, a bold Buenos Aires native fleeing the military regime that took her mother, it offers an escape to a new life as a young teacher to the daughters of Argentina's elite. Mavi tries to embrace the strangeness of the imposing house despite warnings not to roam at night, threats from an enigmatic young man, and rumors of mysterious others with a capital O. But when students and teachers alike begin to behave as if possessed, the forces haunting this unholy cliff will no longer be ignored, and one of these spirits holds a secret that could unravel Mavi's existence. Sounds great, but it's very vague, so can't really tell you what it's about either. The next book that I have is The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel. I can't say it. Hawthorne. You would think I could say it after all the times that I've been to Salem on history tours. I've never read The House of Seven Gables, believe it or not, and I really, really want to, so I picked up this classic. And yes, I know his writing is very of the man, and there's a lot of things against women in here, but it's a story of its time, and I can't wait to read it. And next I picked up a somewhat of a modern day classic fantasy story, and that is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I believe this is a translated piece of work. It is a fantasy story. It's about like a magical library, I think. I've heard great things about it, and I plan on reading it this winter. I feel like it'll be a great cozy book to cuddle up with during the cold, cold days that winter will bring us very soon. The next I have here, Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesar. He is a fellow booktuber who wrote this book, and he has plenty of horror novels out there that have been independently published. So some of them are free on Kindle Unlimited, so if you want to check out more from this author, beware, you could definitely do that for free. But I didn't read this yet. I started reading it a little bit, and I just don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'm gonna continue reading it right now. I don't know. We'll see by the end of the month if I do end up picking this up for Halloween at any point. I feel like it would be a great Halloween story. It is about like moving to a small town with like this clown mascot of the town, and there's like slasher murders that happen, like your typical slasher, which is my like favorite type of horror movie trope. I love like slasher films. So I feel like this would be a great Halloween read, so I might pick it up. It just sounds a little scary right now, but I feel like I'm gonna enjoy it. And a lot of my friends enjoyed it, so we'll see. The next I have here, this gorgeous edition of The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Although it just has my thumbprints and fingerprints all over it, it's just that type of texture of book. It's such a beautiful cover, but it just gets every little... I guess I have oily fingers. I don't really know. I put on a lot of lotion, so that could be it. But in case you didn't know, this is a haunting of the mind, per se. Like, is the house haunted? This is like a hungry house horror trope, basically. It's just really, really good, and nothing like the TV show. So if you watch the TV show, yeah, it's just an idea compared to what the story really is. Yeah, I really liked it. I really loved this. I read it. I just finished it. And it's probably one of my favorite classics that I've ever read. So, yeah. next I have some of my book of the month choices for this month. I have here The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, which is one of my highly anticipated books from the last like 3 years of my life. I have been highly anticipating this. I did end up getting an e-arc of it way back. I think in March I got it, and I started reading it, but I want to read it when everyone else is reading it. I wanted to read it physically than like through my Kindle. When I read arcs, I like reading them on my Kindle because I can kind of skim through them and like review them a little bit faster, but this is a book that I really want to lose myself in, and I just can't wait. I really can't wait. But this is a story about a girl named Addie who was granted immortality by some dark forces, and she lives her life through the centuries, and one day somebody in modern day recognizes her and she doesn't know how. And that's pretty much all I know about it. Next I picked up Hiranisi by Susanna Clarke. Now, don't really know what this is about, like I said, but I do know Susanna Clarke wrote The Strange Case, or The Strange whatever, of Jonathan Strange, blah, 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 which is a modern day classic. So I picked this up because it's on a shorter side and I feel like it would be a fun book to read. I will read you the synopsis in case this is something that you'd like to read yourself. It does say for readers of Neil Gaiman's The House at the End of the Ocean at the End of the Lane, and fans of Madeline Miller's Circe. So I think this has to do with like witch. And it was on my TBR. I put it on my TBR months ago, so I must have heard something great about it, like witchy stuff, and I put it on my TBR without really knowing what it was about. But it says here, Hiranisi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls are lined with thousands upon thousands of statues, each one different from all the others. Within the labyrinth of the halls, an ocean is imprisoned. Waves thunder up staircases, rooms are flooded in an instant, but Hiranisi is not afraid. He understands the tides as he understands the pattern of the labyrinth itself. He lives to explore the house. There is one other person in the house, a man called The Other, who visits Hiranisi twice a week and asks for help with research into a great and secret knowledge. But as Hiranisi explores, evidence emerges of another person and a terrible truth begins to unravel, revealing a world beyond the one Hiranisi has always known. Very vague, but sounds intriguing and I can't wait to read it. And then next I got Star Daughter, and this is by Shiveta Takar. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm so bad. But this book really intrigued me because I'm so into astrology right now, and this is like a fantasy trials type YA book that is focused on astrology and the stars and things like that, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I feel like it's such an original story and I can't wait to read it. I think it's going to be a great fantasy story to cuddle up with in the winter. I'll probably read it at like the end of November, beginning of December. I feel like this would be a great time for that. I can't wait to read it. I really can. Next I have 2 books here that were sent to me by the publisher. I have Lies Like Poison, which is due out November 2020, and then I have These Violent Delights, and that is by Chloe Gong. This I believe is a fantasy story taking place in 1926. It has to do with Shanghai. Oh. It says a blood feud between 2 gangs runs the streets red, numbing the city to its chaos. At the heart of all, it's 18-year-old Juliet Kai, a former flapper who has returned to assume her role as the proud heir of the Scarlet Gang, a network of criminals far above the law. Their only rivals in power are the White Flowers, who have fought the Scarlets for generations, and behind every move is their heir, Roma Montagov, who was Juliet's first love and first betrayal. But when gangsters on both sides start clawing their own throats out, the people start to whisper of contagion and madness, of a monster in the shadows. As the deaths stack up, Juliet and Roma must set their guns and grudges aside and work together, for if they can't stop this mayhem, then there will be no city left for either to rule. That sounds really good, like really good. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read it by November, but I'm definitely going to be picking this up before the year ends. I mean, it sounds really good. And this one lies like poison, which I read the back and it has names of plants and I'm just really excited. So it says that Riverdale meets the Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas. It's an electrifying thriller about estranged friends who reunite when one of their own is framed for the murder they planned but did not commit. It says Poppy, Lily, and Belladonna would do anything to protect their best friend Raven, so when they discovered he was suffering abuse at the hands of his stepmother, they came up with a lethal solution. Petals of poppy, belladonna, and lily in their evening tea, so she'd never be able to hurt Raven again. But someone got cold feet, the plot faded to a secret of the past, and the group fell apart. 3 years later, on the eve of Raven's 17th birthday, his stepmother turns up dead, but it's only belladonna found in her tea, and it's only belladonna who's carted off to jail. Desperate for help, Belle reaches out to her estranged friends to prove her innocence. They answer the call, but no one is prepared for what comes next. Sounds really good. I'll probably pick this up sooner than later for sure. Probably not going to make it for October, but it sounds like a quick November read and it sounds so good. So definitely put this on your TBRs if it sounds good to you. I've been really into YA thrillers lately. I don't know why. The next I have some like witchy style books here. I have The Silver Witch by Paula Braxton, which looks like the most gorgeous cover. It's kind of getting washed out. Oh, there we go. It is so beautiful. I think because I'm a hairdresser, I just really love the hair part and this. It's just so pleasing to the eye, especially the colors here. It's like more of a literary fiction along with like witchy stuff. It takes place in like a Welsh cottage, I think. Yes, a secluded Welsh cottage. Like there's just witchy elements here that I enjoy, and if you're someone who is pagan and understands pagan things, then you will very much enjoy this story. Anything by Paula Braxton you will really enjoy. And then I picked up A Witch in Time by Constance Sayers. I have been wanting to pick up this book for a really long time. I kept like picking it up in the bookstore and putting it back, picking it up, putting it back. It just wasn't the right time for me to read it yet, but I finally picked it up and I can't wait to read it. It is like about time travel and a witch, I assume, and very similar to like Addie LaRue's kind of concept, I think. We shall see, but it is a love story. It's literary fiction, it's historical fiction, and I'm looking forward to testing out the waters and exploring more into historical fiction because I have been enjoying it. And then next I have The Orphan of Cemetery Hill by Hester Fox. I love Hester Fox. I enjoyed her previously published works, but this one just really kind of like missed the mark for me. I don't know, I didn't really love it like the other ones. It was really hard for me to like concentrate actually reading it, and I felt like it was very like juvenile writing. It was just very boring, and I thought it was going to be a lot more because it is about a girl who lives in a cemetery who sees ghosts and talks to ghosts, and I thought it would be so much more than what it was. It was definitely more of like a mystery about grave robbers, and that interests me, but I just felt like there was just not much substance to it. So, but I did pick it up, and I'm glad that I picked it up to support the author. I can't wait to see what else she puts out. Not that it was a bad book by any means, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that enjoyed it. It's just not as gothic and spooky and all the fun stuff that her previous ones were. The next I have The Ghouls of Hellfare, and this is by Nick Tomlinson. I've been seeing this a lot on booktube. I've been watching a lot more people that read middle grade lately because I've been getting a lot more into middle grade, and I heard this was a really cute like ghost story, and it's just a fun quick read, so I picked this up. I thought it was really cute. I love the cover. It's about a haunted mansion, you know, things that I love. Then next I have here a nonfiction-ish, and that's Cursed Objects by J.W. Oker. Now this is just like a cover by, really. I mean, it's amazing, but it's a nice little reference guide to all the objects in the world that are haunted. Then next I picked up Ghostland, and this is just like a little small look into a lot of the haunted places in America, in the United States. And yeah, it's just fun. It's a fun little reference guide as well if you want to get a little creeped out about some real creepy hauntings that happen basically in our backyard. And then I picked up The Bone Houses, and this is by Emily Lloyd Jones. I heard great things about this. This is like a zombie novel in a graveyard. It's about like a family that owns a graveyard and has to take care of it, and they have to like prevent the bone houses from rising. It sounds really good. It sounds like a great creepy Halloween read, and it is a standalone fantasy novel, which I really enjoy because I've been reading way too many series and I just can't add any more to my plate. So I'm looking forward to picking this up this month. I also picked up The Long Walk by Stephen King because I don't own this yet, and this is a well-loved favorite to so many King fans. I have not read it. I plan on reading it at some point in 2021, and I picked it up because I just needed something to buy at the bookstore because it's the only store that I've been going to lately. Next I have here The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. I am loving this. This is actually my current read that I'm reading right now, and I flew through 200 pages, literally like in a couple hours. I am eating this story up. It does go really fast. It is a supernatural horror story that takes place in a small town. I feel like I would love it even more than I'm loving it now if it was taking place during the fall. I feel like it would be better, but it does take place in the summer. But there are so many like Halloween references in it. There's horror movie references in it and just a lot of nostalgic things. I believe it takes place in the early 90s, right? I'm sorry, but like look at this, like the title page. So cool, right? So cool. So you can kind of just get a feel for the story already. And she dedicated the book, it says, for Alexis Nixon in October Country. I just love that. It takes place in 1985. So there are like horror movie references, like Halloween referenced in here. Like a lot of things that were really popular in the 80s horror-wise are referenced in here. So I really love that part of it. And October is definitely like, you feel like you're reading an October story. It's so good. But it is about these like dead girls that are like murdered, and they're found in someone's backyard, like this older woman's backyard. They were like mauled to death, and the cops come to the scene, and all of a sudden like the dead girls talk to someone surveying the scene. There's definitely racism in here, and it's dealt with, and I think it's like dealt with perfectly in here. So there's a little bit of that goes on in small towns even today. I know this takes place in 1985, but it still happens today in small towns, because this older woman, white woman, lives across the street from a Spanish family, and she judges them. And so like there's a little bit of that in there, which I feel like it's handled perfectly. But it really is surrounded by this girl who lost her father, and he like killed himself by the ghost tree. But the ghost tree was like a hangout spot for her and her friends and her family. Like it was just like this place where they went to like just hang out. Very weird, but anyway, so she still visits the ghost tree with her best friend. That's kind of like their meeting place. But she starts getting like these visions, and she's like seeing things happen before they happen, along with her little brother, who is like a Danny Torrance. He's definitely got the shine. It's really such a great story so far. I don't want to give too much away because it is like a thriller, but it's a thriller, it's a horror, it's a period piece from 1985, so you get a look into small towns during that period, especially with like the view of racism in that time. And I just think this was such a greatly researched story so far. I mean, I'm not done with it, but I feel like it's going to be a new favorite. I feel like no one talks about it. I haven't heard many people talking about it, but I highly suggest picking it up for the spooky season because it's pretty scary. It's pretty gory, but it's pretty scary. This is another current read that I have, and that is Horrid by Katrina Leno. I have been eating this story up as well. I'm so pleased with my reading choices this week. I'm just so happy. This is a haunted house story, and it is like, while I was reading it, you know, the family dynamic between our main character Jane and her mother Ruth very much reminds me of Rory Gilmore and Lorelai Gilmore, but in a dark way. This is definitely a dark book. Our main character loses her father. He just dies of natural causes, I guess you could say. And the family, you know, her and her mother ends up like being broke because of this, and the only way that they could survive is to move to Maine to her mother's manor, because they can't afford the cost of living in Los Angeles anymore. And when Ruth's mother died, she left the manor to her as her house to keep it in the family. So it would be a place where they can go to not spend a lot of money on a mortgage. They would only have to pay for property taxes, so that will save them a lot of money. Plus it's in Maine, so it's really like on the cheaper side to live. So they get up and they leave and they go to the manor, and the manor needs a lot of work, so they start doing repairs. But when Jane gets there, she starts to just feel like uneasy. She sees things in the corner of her eye. She sees the light go on in the upstairs when nobody's upstairs or in the house. There's a lot of creepy things going on. So, you know, you wonder if it's in her mind because she is suffering so badly with this grief of losing her father and moving and just so much change. So it's kind of like, what's going on here? Also, rose petals are a thing. So keep that in mind. In case you couldn't tell from the cover page here. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's super spooky. It's a young adult, but it's definitely like harder hitting, especially with harder hitting topics, and it's really spooky and really scary. Next, I have some classics here for you, and I picked up Emma in this cloth-bound edition, which I'm obsessed with these editions, and I'm going to be collecting a lot more of them. I want to read all the classics coming up in 2021, and I just picked this up recently. I went for a little drive into Pennsylvania, which is not too far from my house, and found a cute little bookstore, and I wanted to support them, so I purchased this there. Another cloth-bound edition that I picked up is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, and I've heard such great things about this classic. It is the first of its kind, basically, and it's the #1 mystery thriller for centuries, because you could say. So I can't wait to read it. It's pretty big, pretty big. It seems like everybody's been kind of like revisiting The Woman in White now. Like I feel like I keep hearing about it, so I need to know the buzz about this book, and I want to know why I never really picked up classics before. But now I've been just like craving the writing. I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting like more advanced in my reading taste, if that makes sense. But gorgeous, gorgeous cover. I love these cloth-bound editions. I put them on my wish list, on my Amazon wish list, because I want them. I want them all. So anybody looking to get me a gift this year for like Christmas or my birthday in January, it's on my Amazon wish list. And then I picked up these classics from Barnes & Noble that I love these like softback ones as well. I have Sherlock Holmes classic stories. This has all of like the most famous ones by Arthur Conan Doyle. I love that it's like just a soft paperback, and I love paperback. It's not a paperback. It's like a leather, like a fake leather. It's not real leather. And then I like how they put a quote in the back. I feel like that's so cool. And then I picked up Wuthering Heights as well, which is another classic I never read, and I plan on reading it. I started reading it, and I just felt like it's not the proper time right now, because I'm just trying to get in as many like spooky Halloween reads right now, so I'm reading like quicker. I really want to just spend a lot of quality time with this book when I do have time to read it, because it is a lot of my friends' favorite books of all times, like favorite of all time, not favorite classic, so I need to know why. And then I picked up another Darcy Coates, which is Craven Manor, which looks so spooky. Kind of reminds me of Bly Manor, which I'm watching right now, and it's so good. It's so good. It's so perfectly like spooky and gothic, and everything that I'm craving this spooky season is happening in that show. It's like they knew. They just knew that I was in the mood for that, so it's so good. But this is a Darcy Coates, her typical supernatural ghost story of haunted houses. I really enjoy reading Darcy Coates around this time of year, so I'm happy that I picked this up. And a lot of her books are free on Kindle Unlimited, but I just wanted a copy of this because I love the manor. I love the vines on it and stuff. The cover just really got to me. And next I picked up A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is a highly anticipated book for me. I had already started it and it's so good. I'm really enjoying it. I don't necessarily like think it's the perfect book for like October. It's definitely dark academia. It's from the view of like, say it was like the view of Draco, like it's from the point of view of like the bad witch, the bad wizard, not like the Harry Potter version. It's so good. It's so dark. There's demons. There's the inner dialogue with our main character is just fun, and I'm enjoying it so much. Naomi Novik, I don't really mesh well with her writing like in the past, and I try so hard reading her stuff. I've met her. She's awesome. I don't know what it is. I'm going to revisit Spinning Silver because that was like one of my least favorite books a couple years ago, and I'm upset about it, but at the same time, I think I've grown so much as a reader in the last 2 years, so I think I need to revisit that and make another opinion on it. The next I picked up like a little series that I'm excited about, and that is A Tale of Magic by Chris Colfer, and then this is the sequel to it, and that is A Tale of Witchcraft. Why did I say witchcraft like that? Like witchcraft. I don't know what's wrong with me, but like look at this cover. My sister actually picked it out for me. We were in Barnes & Noble one morning, and I was just like, I'm just in the mood for middle grade. I don't know, I guess with everything going on, it's just easier to read middle grade, and middle grade really just transports you to another world without all the heavy stuff, without all the heavy subject matter. So it's really just like putting on a fun like fantasy story on, like putting on a Disney movie or something like that, just to kind of escape somewhere that's not here. So I picked up this, and I have to say, from what I've read so far, I feel like it might be like a new favorite. Not that I've been looking to replace Harry Potter from my life, but I just been craving like a new series that's like that, and this is definitely has that quality. It's about like opening up a magic school, but the fairies and the witches don't get along, and the fairies, you know, they do different magic than each other, so they're kind of like on different teams with each other. It's so cute, and I'm enjoying it. And Chris Colfer wrote The Land of Stories, which is a hugely popular fantasy series in the middle grade genre, and this is his new series that he's writing about, so I'm just excited, and the illustration's just beautiful. Next I picked up Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas, which is a newly released book. I don't know if this is like considered horror. I don't know if this is considered romance. I don't really know. I just know it's highly buzzed about. Everybody's talking about it right now, and it does deal with a lot of subject matter that we're dealing with today, but along with the fantasy elements and necromancy, which I love. This is about Yadriel, who's trying to prove a point to his family that he can possess the magic that they possess, and he goes to the cemetery to do like this spell to bring back his cousin who passed away, and accidentally brings back the wrong spirit, and that's where the story takes off. I'm currently going to be reading this for my Fright Week TBR, and I'm excited about it. Next I have here Winnhurst by Michelle Paver. This has been on my TBR for so long, and then I watched another booktuber's video, and she mentioned this book, and it just triggered my memory, and I was like, let me order this because it's finally out. And this is just your classic gothic spooky horror story. It does have like paganism involved in here and witch-like things, so I'm excited to read this. It does take place in the British countryside in a manor, so yeah, it has all the things that I have been craving lately in a spooky gothic story. Lastly are two books that I literally just picked up at the store, and this book actually, as I'm filming this, it's not released yet, but I found it in my Barnes & Noble at early release, and that is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Haro. This is a big one, and it has deckled pages, which I love. This is a story that I found out about recently, and I don't know why it was not on my radar before, but it is something that I've been like, it sounds like it's gonna be perfect. It's a feminist story. It's about witches, it's about a murder, it's about just like the power of women, really, and I'm just so excited to read this. And it's by Alex E. Harrow, who wrote the 1000 Doors of January. So it is a fantasy story. It takes place in New Salem. I want to say New Salem and Old Salem. Is that New Orleans or something like that? I don't really know. But it is about like the women's suffrage movement and how that comes into play with like witches and stuff and women getting their way. So I'm really excited about that. It is a fantasy, so I can't wait to see where it goes. And I'm on chapter 2. I've been reading like 5 books right now. But I like how it just has like little spells in the beginning of each chapter. It's just really cute. So I'm excited to get more into the story, as you can tell. Next, I picked up The Sisters Grimm by Mena van Praag, and this story caught my eye not just because of the cover, which you can kind of see where it's going, but this is about a group of sisters who possess the powers of the elements. So you have your earth, you have your air, you have your fire, you have your water, and they are dealing with a war in their kingdom, and their king basically sends them into our world. So this is like definitely like fairy tale like, and then they're sent into our worlds, kind of like how like Once Upon a Time is. So they're sent, and then they don't really have much of a memory of who they were or what they were or their purpose in life. And then they kind of have to like find each other again. And then there's definitely like the political intrigue. It's a fantasy. It's an adult fantasy, so there is adult subject matter in here, but it just sounded so good. I'll read you the synopsis because it's pretty brief, so in case this is something that you want to read yourself. It reads like a fairy tale from what I could see in the beginning. I was in Barnes & Noble reading it, and then I was like, I'm buying this. This is so good. It says, once upon a time, a demon who desired earthly domination fathered an army of dark daughters to help him corrupt humanity. As children, Goldie, Lyanna, Scarlet, and B dreamed of a strange otherworld, a nightscape of peculiar mists, mysterious falling leaves, and hungry ivy. In the shadowland of everywhere, the 4 half-sisters connected by blood and magic begin to nurture their elemental powers, learning to control earth, water, air, and fire. But at 13, they are ripped from everywhere and separated. 5 years later, the sisters still feel the loss of one another and their supernatural strengths, though they have no memory of either. Meanwhile, the sisters are not only beset on escalating challenges in their earthly lives, they're also ignorant of the battle that awaits. On their 18th birthday, they will be subjected to a gladiatorial duel to the death with their father's soldiers. The sisters' only chance for survival lies in rediscovering everywhere. The sisters have 33 days to discover who they are, where they came from, and what they can do before they must fight for their lives and those they love. It just sounds really good, like an adult fantasy with grim content, and I just cannot wait to get into that. And just the falling leaves concept, I was like, falling leaves, fall, it's fall. And this is my October book haul, so I think that's it. That's all the books that I have for you guys in this book haul. Yes, I have been purchasing a lot of books, but I haven't been purchasing anything else. I mean, books are the only thing that makes me happy right now, and that's okay. I just want all the stories all the time. So let me know in the comments down below if you have picked up any of these books recently or plan on picking up any of these books recently. I hope you found something new to add to your TBRs as well. I've been trying to find those little gems in the rough at the bookstore instead of just picking up all the books that everyone's been reading and buzzing about lately. I've been wanting to read other things besides just the buzzworthy books. So let me know if you found anything that's piquing your interest that you would like to pick up. That's it for now. If you like this video and you want to see more book hauls from me, just like and subscribe down below. And I'll be seeing you guys in my next video. Bye!